welcome back to my channel. I haven't done a sitting down talking video in a while just because I've been, well, you know, there's a pandemic going on. Now that I'm stuck inside for a good chunk of time, I will probably be making more of these sit down talk kind of videos. I've been really into watching tarot card readings, so I actually got my own deck. It's, well, they just say the Rider Tarot deck, but it's actually the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. And I actually read a little bit. Here, I'll show you close up. That's the deck. The artwork for this was done by a woman, I think her name's Pamela Carlton Smith, I want to say. It's probably on the box. Pamela Coleman Smith. And I was reading a little bit about her and how she wasn't recognized for the work she did on this artwork. I mean, it is the most popular, so that's one of the first ones I found. I actually just got it online. Basically, these days, people use them as kind of a guide. The reason I got these was because I wanted to be more in tune with myself and have a means for understanding my current energies and where my life is at the moment and how I can better myself and what I need to work on. I had been watching a lot of readings and I wanted to do it myself. I've done a couple of readings, well, I've only done 2 for myself and I've done some for my family, and they've been crazy accurate. I actually have this book that I got too along with this, Tarot for Beginners, so that I could better understand what it is I'm doing, because I don't want to just be walking into it blindly, even though a lot of it is about intuition. I think I'm going to end up talking a little bit about astrology too, because that's really how I got into this, because I'm very big into astrology. I'm not an astrologer, but I am very into it and I know a little bit about it. So maybe that'll be helpful for me to share as well. I got into tarot because I follow a lot of astrologers and astrology accounts on Twitter, and a lot of them are also very spiritual, and they also do tarot card readings or are into tarot. So that's how I kind of got into it, and then I started watching YouTube videos. I started watching Tarot by Bronx, and then I found Allie's Tarot, and Allie's Tarot she's just great. With these tarot readings, they're for specific zodiac signs, and a lot of tarot card readers will do this. I know the cards, I'm still learning, but the cards each have certain energies with them. So for example, Swords is air sign. Hold up, that's gonna be wrong, so let me consult my book. Cups is water, Pentacles is earth, air is swords, and fire is wands. So that's kind of how it relates to astrology. There's probably a lot more in-depth explanation for that, but so yeah, so they're kind of connected. Maybe I should go a little bit more into astrology now. Everyone has a sign. We all know that, like, oh, I'm a Gemini, or oh, you're a Cancer or a Libra or Sagittarius. I just named all of my top signs. The sign everyone knows is your sun sign. My sun sign is a Gemini, and Gemini happens to be an air sign. There's different elements. So you have the air signs, earth signs, fire signs, and water signs. When I watch tarot card readings, I watch for A, my sun sign, B, sometimes my moon sign, although I don't particularly always relate to it because everybody's different. I watch for my chart ruler, and then I also watch for my rising sign, which is Libra. Again, everybody's different. Some people might have a stellium. A stellium, the definition varies, I think, but from what I understand, it's when you have 3 or more planets in a certain sign. So if you have like Venus, the moon, and your sun all in one sign, that's what a stellium is. Okay, so you've got your sun sign, that's the position of the sun in your chart. Then you've got your moon sign, obviously the position of the moon. Then you've got all these other planets. And then you've got your rising sign. That is where the sun, where the horizon is. This is a horrible explanation. Anyway, it's basically 9 o'clock in your chart. It's 9 o'clock. There's 12 houses. There's lots of different kinds of ways of reading a birth chart. If you don't know what time you're born, you're not gonna know exactly where everything is. There's degrees of everything that is happening in the sky. There's a whole lot about astrology. There's a lot to unpack. When you enter your information, your birth date, and if you know the time you're born, and where you were born, you can pull up a chart easily on any website. It gets a little detailed. It's very interesting to know that some things can be kind of decoded ahead of time based on the way that the sky is going to map itself out and how certain planets are connecting or clashing with each other. I think the biggest thing people hear about astrology is Mercury's in retrograde. When Mercury is in retrograde, it just means the planet appears that it's moving backwards. That's something that's really hyped up in social media. You've probably heard of it. And when Mercury is in retrograde, a lot of things happen, like miscommunications and stuff, because Mercury happens to be the planet that rules communication. Also, all of the signs are ruled by a certain planet. So the sign of Gemini happens to be ruled by Mercury, the planet. I also mentioned my chart ruler. I'm just gonna give myself as an example so you can kind of get the hang of it maybe. So my rising sign is Libra. That sign, Libra, happens to be ruled by the planet Venus. So you take the planet Venus and then look for it in your chart. In my chart, Venus happens to be in Cancer. So I consider Cancer my chart ruler, and that is why I said I look for or watch the tarot card readings for Cancer. But that doesn't mean all the other planets or signs or whatever are any less important. It just means it has a heavy impact on my chart, and I think it does. Another thing to look at is all of the modalities of these signs as well. That means determining whether a sign is a fixed sign, mutable sign, or a cardinal sign. The fixed signs are Leo, Aquarius, and Taurus? Scorpio? I think that's all of them. Fixed signs are the signs that tend to be the most stubborn. They're very set in their ways. They're very grounded. The mutable signs are Pisces, Sagittarius, Gemini, and Virgo. Mutable signs are very flighty, very up in the air, very, can be dreamy and not really always changing, like I am. I'm definitely a mutable sign, hands down. The cardinal signs are Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. Cardinal signs are the ones who are kind of in the middle of those two, and they kind of enforce the change. That's the best way to describe them. Like, mutable signs are the change, and fixed signs don't change. So that's kind of the way I like to describe it. Don't come at me if you're an astrologer. I'm not an astrologer. I'm not pretending to know everything. So it kind of helps to be a little introspective, and I think it's a great idea to take a little time during this whole quarantine to get to know yourself and maybe explore some of those things within yourself that you weren't aware of before. There's a lot of great books out there, a lot of great resources just online too, although just be careful. Some things out there are like, you and this person would make a horrible couple because your zodiac sign is Taurus and she's a Capricorn, or like just there's a lot of different aspects that go into astrology, and you can't just base it off of sun signs. Also, this is crazy, but so I've been watching Allie's tarot because I find her the most relatable, and last night I think I was watching for my sun sign for the Gemini reading. I had done a reading yesterday morning. In the reading that she was doing for my sign, she pulled the exact same cards that I pulled, and I was just like, it was just confirmation that I'm onto something, because it just goes to show that these cards were meant for me to be pulled, and she also happened to pull them for my zodiac sign, so like it's all connected. Another thing we need to talk about is like the spiritual aspect of that. So I'm not a religious person. I grew up with half my family's Jewish, half my family is Christian. Like, I've been to a couple of non-denominational churches in my life. I've been to synagogue. I have celebrated all of the holidays, but I didn't grow up with that strong sense of religious community. So I don't consider myself a religious person, but obviously I'm really into tarot cards. These are somewhat rooted in religion. So I guess I would consider myself spiritual. I have actually been able to, not on purpose, but I've actually been able to read some people's chakras. And reading someone's chakras, you shouldn't, just to preface it, you shouldn't do that without someone's permission. The one time I did it without permission, it was just a complete accident. I was just sitting in class. We were all just so connected. It was an acting class, of course. We were all so connected in our discussion and listening to the professor, and I just saw the color. It was a light blue chakra, and I just happened to see it at a glance, and I looked over and it was just surrounding my classmate. So I told him, I was like, I just saw this, and I like looked it up, and then I kind of got into practicing it, but then I got a little scared because one time I thought I saw like the face of somebody when I was reading someone's chakra, so it was like this whole big thing. But I think that's something I could also explore a little bit more, because I have experienced it, so I do believe in it, and I think that could be very helpful. When I did yoga, I've done hot yoga because my parents are super into it, so they had a whole membership and they dragged me to yoga, and I just don't have the patience for it. But whenever I would do it, and I would just be sitting there kind of in this position, and I would just feel so connected. My mind was just at ease, and I would kind of feel this energy. I don't know if anyone else has experienced this. I'm not really sure what it is, but I kind of experienced this energy ripple is the best way to put it. It kind of felt like not an out-of-body experience necessarily, but it just kind of felt like there was an energy kind of rippling through me, and that's like an indicator for me of when I know I'm connected. And when I was doing the tarot card thing, I felt that again. I hope you guys like my this little cute little like pantsuit kind of thing. Obviously we're quarantined, so I mean I've been wearing t-shirts a lot, but I just wanted to dress up for this video, get ready like I normally would, and just prepare for my day. I feel like it's really important to stick to your rituals. You know, for all my friends who are in theater, it's so important, or sports, or really anything, it's so important when you stick to those rituals. I need to say this chant or do this dance before I go out because it just helps you feel good. That's how I feel about getting ready in the morning. That is so, so important, because without that, you would just feel like things are off. Take care of yourself. Do what you need to do. You know, maybe you don't do tarot cards, but maybe you meditate, or maybe you're working out or exercising. Maybe it's cooking, maybe it's painting something, or coloring in a coloring book, or doing Instagram story challenges. Like, there's no judgment. There should be no judgment to anyone at all for what they do to make themselves feel better. I just hope you all are doing what makes you happy and what makes you feel good, because it's a really tough, weird time right now. I hope you liked the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe, all that good stuff, yada yada. And I will catch you next time for another one of my real talks.